beautiful people, and welcome back to the Dingy Diamond. I am your urban lady Whistledown, and today there is a trending topic that just landed on my desk. Dwyane Wade's son, Zaire Wade, who is an ex NBA player, has been arrested on charges of domestic violence. And it's all over Twitter, it's all over Facebook and Instagram. Everyone is trying to get in on this conversation. What they are saying, right? When we see Zaire Wade, we don't say, dang, Zaire Wade, what is he doing beating women? We're looking to see what type of parent Dwyane Wade is or was to have raised a son who is facing an allegation of beating a woman. So what happened? I can give you guys the facts. This happened yesterday, Sunday, 5:30 a.m., Burbank, California. Supposed to be a nice day. Obviously it wasn't. Police arrived and they found the former reality star and basketball player Zaire Wade and a female who had lacerations on her face and body. So they go in, it doesn't matter what story you give. Once they see that the woman got bruises or marks on her face, somebody going to jail. Usually it's going to be the man, regardless of if she had given a statement that he hit her. She can say that they rolled around on the rug and they had playful sex, whatever. But it doesn't look like she gave a statement in the Los Angeles local NBC article that he hit her. It doesn't look that information is not disclosed in this particular article. But after talking to the parties involved, officers arrested Zaire Wade on suspicion. Now, this is very important. This tells us everything. Suspicion of felony domestic violence, criminal threats, and false imprisonment. Suspicion says that whatever that female said, right, she did not rat on him. She did not say, Zaire hit me. But it was obvious based on whatever was going on in that situation. We don't know who called. It says someone called 911. She didn't call 911. It was evident based on what the police saw when they came into that environment. Her physical marks on her face and lacerations, the way that the room looked, maybe it looked like a tussle or a struggle had occurred. It was obvious to them that something had happened. And that's why he was arrested on suspicion. She kept her mouth closed about what happened. So we'll have to get more information as time goes on. But police issued an emergency protective order. Again, the facts matters, details matters, and the devil is in the detail. Because police issued an emergency protective order, it's not her asking for one. That is not her giving a statement saying that he did it. But something was so evident that we know he did it, right? The police know he did it. Okay, moving on. So he posted $50,000 bond yesterday and he was released yesterday. And the case is now being forwarded to the LA County District Attorney Office for possible charges. The LA County District Attorney Office can decide not to press charges, whether they don't want to pursue it. They have too many other cases on their desk and their docket. They don't want to pursue it. There's not enough evidence. The only witness they have is the woman in there, unless somebody obviously could have heard screams and stuff, which is present in the report that they heard screams. They're a witness to what they heard, but she's really the only witness that could incriminate him, right? And if she is not being voluntarily given that information up, they can't compel her to tell on them, right? So possible charges could be filed. I'm sure rich family, they're gonna do away with this very quietly. Money is going to switch hands, and she probably needs to stay away from this man for the rest of her life. And I'm going to say probably because I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, this is going to go away in about a week. With that being said, we're asking the question as to what type of home did Zaire grow up in to be beating women, allegedly? Was it a happy home? Was it a home where your behavior and when you're mad And instead of telling you to calm down, your anger was accepted. They say, "Oh, I accept you being angry. I accept you throwing that chair across the room. I accept you shattering the porcelain. I accept you feeling like you have to cuss me out instead of correcting behavior." There are questions. We have real questions about that parenting style. And in order to examine those questions, we have to go back to the beginning. So, where did this all start? The starting point is, how did Zaire and Zion, who is now Zaya, end up in Dwyane Wade's house? Why does he have full custody of them? Why? All right. So we'll have to go back to his highly publicized divorce. So his divorce settlement was issued in 2013. So he was with his high school sweetheart. They married in 2002. I'm going to butcher her name, please. Don't come get me. Sayavon. I'm just going to call her Von Funches. Von Funches. He married her in 2002. Right when he was entering the NBA, they had two children, Zaire and Zaya, right? And by 2007, the marriage had deteriorated. Wade met actress Gabrielle Union in February of that year. So he say, it deteriorated, and then he met her. He met her, and then the marriage deteriorated. I digress. And then he filed for divorce later that same year. That looks pretty. That looks so pretty. He met her. The marriage deteriorated first, and then he met the lovely, sexy actress, and then he filed for divorce the same year he met her. I guess he knew it was a sure thing after that. But yeah, filed for divorce that same year, and the divorce was formally granted in 2010. All right, and the custody battle was nasty, right? It was a nasty custody battle, and allegations of all types of things were being thrown. On March 2011, the judge, who was Judge Fernandez, in a 102-page ruling, awarded Wade sole custody of both of the kids. Sole custody of both of the kids. This is kind of peculiar, right? When you think about a mother usually being the one who has custody of the kids in these battles. So why did he get sole custody of both Zaire and now Zaya, right? So there are some allegations that were made and some points that Mr. Wade's lawyer made about Vaughn that were taken to heart. And I don't believe that these claims were completely substantiated, but yeah. So some of the reasons why Dwyane Wade's ex-wife, or Von Funch's children, were taken out of her home and placed in the sole custodial environment with Dwyane Wade is repeated violations of court orders. So that's just the regular your baby daddy trying to get the kids, right? They're trying to pick the kids up, and you are not available for the kid to do the kid swap, right? And they can't explain the absences, or her refusal to explain the absences. There was a 2010 incident when she went AWOL with the kids, so to speak. So he describes it as the most frightening moment of his life. He couldn't get in touch with the kids. He didn't know where they were, and she was unresponsive, right? And then there was a legal intervention to block contact. Her lawyers were accused of actively working to keep Wade away from his children and undermining the court's visitation schedule. Now, these are some of the things that were alleged in the custody trial that Vaughn was doing in order to keep Wade away from the kids. But if you really break this down, this is normal, everyday custodial grievance dispute type thing, right? Making excuses to deny Wade visitation. Okay, there are communication issues. Why don't we fix the communication issues? Why don't we meet at a public place? Making an excuse and not giving an explanation. That could be an everyday run of the mill thing. And communication could probably fix such a thing. You don't take the kids away from their mother just because there has been some miscommunications about the scheduled visits. And this goes on to say, too, when people have power, he's a fancy NBA star at this particular time. He's on the Miami Heat. His time is seen as more precious than the time of an average person. So the repeated violations, it may have been 2 violations. And what is the normal protocol for a person or the court to do with 2 or 3 violations would not be to take the kids away from their custodial parent. That's crazy. Going AWOL with the children in 2010, she disappeared with Zaire and Zaya, making them unlocatable for months. What does that actually mean? Did she not give him the address to where their children would be? Is it legally required that he has that address? No. No. But I can't understand that if she doesn't know, she doesn't give that information out, plus the repeated violation of court orders, that could look to be interfering with his child rights or his rights to see his children. Do I believe that that interference should result again in the kids be taken out of a seemingly healthy and happy household, even though it's a household with limited resources because he has $1 million NBA money? No, no. And then there's another charge saying that, or allegation that he attempted to alienate Wade from his children, which is a serious legal offense in custody courts. So a lot of these charges are just trumped up by a great lawyer team, a divorce team that knows exactly how to paint the other party as someone who is deliberately attempting to take away Dwyane's rightful parental rights, right? So I don't see that any of these violations as completely serious. But I digress. The kids were taken away. During this period of time, he was dating Gabrielle Union. He was dating her. And I believe the unspoken truth is that the court seen a potential 2-parent home where the kids would enjoy the love, support of 2 parents versus a single mother with limited resources. And they decided to give Dwyane Wade sole custody. When he got custody of these kids, though, him and Gabrielle Union were just dating. And 1 year after the custody was granted, which was in 2011, so it actually 2 years, in 2013, he stepped outside of this relationship and fathered a child with Asia Matoya. Y'all should look at her too. She's a beautiful lady, right? So one of the reasons, or unspoken reason, that Dwyane Wade even got custody was that he showed the ability to give the kids a traditional upbringing just for him to step outside the confines of his own relationship and father a child out of any relationship at all. This wasn't, he was with someone. No, they were on break. He never came out and be like, well, this is my girlfriend for a year. We were on break and he went and slipped in raw and had a beautiful son. We don't talk about the children, right? Had a beautiful son with this beautiful woman. And then after that, which was in 2013, his son was born. In December of that same year, he went back and proposed to Gabrielle Union, which she accepted. Are y'all seeing what I'm saying here? This is a circus. This is a circus. Ring bearers, buffoons, the llamas spitting out vulgarities. This is not what you would call a stable upbringing. And this next bit of information is really disturbing, I would say. Back in May 2010, Dwyane Wade's now ex wife filed a lawsuit against his now wife, Gabrielle Union, and she was seeking $50,000 in damages and alleged that Union engaged in extreme and outrageous conduct. Extreme and outrageous conduct. Okay, that doesn't tell us anything. What conduct did she allege? And just looking through the lawsuit, she says this said conduct caused emotional distress to the couple's children, including claims that Union engaged in sexual behavior in front of the children during visits to the Wade's Miami house. The lawsuit also alleged a near drowning incident involving younger children during supervised or unsupervised, rather, time near a pool. Okay. So this is very interesting. And I'm going to tell you why. All right. So when you think about children who identify as LGBTQ or transgender children, or children who have some type of body dysmorphia, they have often experienced some type of sexual traumatic experience when they are children, right? And that could be them seeing something, hearing something, or being exposed to something that they were not supposed to be exposed to of a sexual nature, and not necessarily knowing how to process those feelings, right? So just keeping that in mind and thinking about Zion, going from Zion to Zaya, right? And these are just, they're not even speculations, just food for thought. When we see a boy go from a boy to a girl, right? She makes this transition a couple of years later. And then you have a parent who has been accused, and of course the lawyers smothered this lawsuit out, and it was dismissed. But there's an accusation floating around that the wife has been engaged in some type of sexual behavior in Miami, of all places, in the home, and it has caused the children emotional distress. So of course that was seen as retaliatory. The wife was seen as, of course, being salty, mad that she's left alone. They don't rob the nest. She did get $5 million in the divorce settlement, but as a mother, no amount of money could ever compensate for the loss of your children. You will never be the same. So those are some of the things we're looking at. So this is how she lost custody. Some of it is some complete BS that I'm sure the lawyers just trumped up to mean to make means more than it actually meant. The kidnapping or not letting him visit at a specific time. These are very normal things that go on where lawsuits aren't filed and children aren't taken away from the home. A better plan to visit someone is created. More communication is put in place between both parties. We don't take the kids from the mother, right? A lot of courts frown on taking children away from their biological mother. But if you have money and you have a famous wife, you just might be able to do that. So we say all of this to say that both those kids, including Zaire, who is now facing a domestic violence charge, were taken from their mother and placed in what people believe, or what the court to believe, a more fit home, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, home for him. And it seems the rearing practices at the Wade home has actually resulted in him allegedly beating women. So we need to dig a little bit deeper into that. I'm sure more information may come out. I've heard some wild things about the Wade house circulating. I've heard some wilder things coming out of Gabrielle Union's mouth. Things like her detailing the sex life between her and her husband, which is kind of quirky to do, especially him being such a well-known NBA figure. So she has said some stuff. She's very open, talking about how they get down and dirty, and of course, two consenting adults. That's y'all business, and a business we did not need to hear. But yeah, it's very interesting, and even within that marriage, there has been a lot of shaky ground. Sickening trend that goes on when Black men reach stardom, get it out of the mud, become powerful, rich, and successful. They tend to trade their old wives in for new ones. And these aren't new, prettier wives, more subordinate wives. These aren't wives who treat them better necessarily. These are wives who do not say no. These are wives who accept their behavior. These are wives who are sexually deviant. These are wives who will say yes to any fantasy that pops up in the man's head, where the wife who grew up with them, just like in Dwyane Wade's case, he met his wife back in middle school. She was not going for any sex parties in the condo, passing around weed and drugs and picking up girls or having these threesomes and orgies and stuff. She wasn't going for that. That was not the type of lifestyle that she had. But once these men get power, they decide that as a reward, they should be able to live out their wildest fantasies without any restrictions or limitations. So what? They're married. They get these women and they say, I have all of this money. You should let me do whatever it is that I want to do. And behind what seems to be a quiet and loving marriage is a man who is hell-bent on living out his wildest dreams, getting pleasure, having things his way, and wanting a woman to be close-lipped about saying that he can't do it. And when a woman doesn't comply, right, and these are women that have babies with these men, they grew up when they had nothing and believed in their dreams. A lot of them struggled with them when they had nothing but a dream and pocket lint. They know the real them. And some of these men are irritated by that. So once they get this money, they can transform into whatever avatar they want to be. They don't want to be seen as Dwyane Wade, the poor man who you struggle with. They want to be seen as Dwyane Wade, the playboy. The Dwyane Wade, I can do whatever I want. The one who has emotion, right? So he marries Gabrielle Union, who has said some really weird things. There was an interview on the Sway show where she talks about eating Dwyane's arse to the public. And I don't have any opinion about what consenting adults do. And she used the word consenting, which lets me know there are some non-disclosure agreements being passed around at these parties where they can't speak about it in public. It was very weird. Consenting. It's like picking somebody up from the club and it's only about sex. And you don't want the information to get out, so you make them sign an NDA agreement. So she talks about what consenting adults should do and be liberated and free and explore yourself. So this is the type of ideology that she parented with and that Dwyane parented with. He didn't know what to do with those boys. And a lot of men get custody of these kids and they don't know how to raise them properly. Their tactic to raise the kids is to give them anything that they want and to accept any idea that pops into their head. There's no telling them no because no one tells them no. No one has told Dwyane he can't have. So what you think he's going to do with the kids? He's going to focus on pacifying them. He's going to focus on them getting pleasure. He's not going to focus on rules and regulations. It's not going to be disciplined. It's not going to be starve out some of your desires. It's not going to be every thought that comes into your head may not be a clean thought. Let's try to purify. Let's talk about it. It's going to be acceptance. If we did everything we thought in our mind, we're flesh. What type of world would that be? What would our life look like if every fantasy that pops inside of our head, we can live out in the material world? And as people, we think about some crazy stuff. Sometimes we don't even know where the thoughts come from. But dealing with someone that powerful who goes and gets a yes woman who is liberated and open, which is really a prison. If you will accept anything and say, I'm so free, it doesn't matter what happens, that's a person whose soul is dwindling inside because the world is all about rules. And it's risky, right? It's risky to be a part of these sex parties and orgies and say, husband, you can have whatever it is that you want. And he does. And he develops a taste for something else. So that's one of the reasons that I believe, or I can believe it's a theory as to why he stepped out. And they had to go on a break. Maybe she said, hey, you can't have what you want anymore. Well, we're not going to be together. The basis of our relationship is me being able to have everything that I want. I want to partake in the menu, the buffet of sex that the world has to offer. And if you're not okay with that, I'm going to have to leave you behind because I traded you in. I traded my old wife in for this new model of wife. All you're supposed to do is be pretty and present yourself as a pretty wife. You're not supposed to tell me no. So all of this trickled down to the kids. Where daddy, I have this thought. That thought is good. We have all types of thoughts. You're free, liberation. So you guys can tell me what you believe is going on in this situation. Is Dwyane Wade a good father? Was it the best situation for them to be ripped out of the nest and put in his care? A man who doesn't really have any parenting experience. And his idea of parenting is acceptance, telling them yes, pacifying their emotions. And that pacification of your emotions, when you get angry, you can't sit down and communicate and say, hey, this makes me feel this way. Is this the right way to feel? No, these rich parents, they just go and buy stuff. You're angry, you don't know what to do. Okay, let me go get you some food. That dirt bike you wanted, let me go buy that. You want some new clothes? Let me go do that. The feelings are never really talked about. Whether or not it's right or wrong, it's never really talked about. So Zaire could have been in a situation where a woman told him no. He's not used to be told no. He's not used to being corrected because that's what parenting is. Tough love is correction. You can't do that to a woman. You can't close the door on a woman and make her talk to you. But if you're used to everyone telling you yes, your parents saying yes, I'm angry, you throw stuff, it's not right to throw that. It's not right to use violence. It's not right to scream and express yourself like that. No, let me try to calm you down. What can we do? What can I go out there and buy you? What would make your day better? So it seems like that was the free and liberating parenting style that they used for the kids. And whether they turned out good or bad, we don't know. We just know there's a lot happening um, in that household. But again, we'll keep abreast on any updates here. I thank you so much for coming to the Dingy Diamond, and I will see you soon. This has been your Urban Lady Whistledown. Bye bye.